Bang. Hello and welcome to Lone Star Legacy episode 24. I know it's 24 because I went and checked what the previous one was before we got on.
Oh, you actually counted?
I know,
like
right?
Every time.
I am Sam Craven and I am drinking Gosling's Black Seal rum. I'm joined by Ben.
Ben Kendrick. I'm not drinking anything at the moment.
Will, this is where you introduce yourself.
Okay. This is Will Merchant. I'm drinking the Carbox new Hella Spicy Cerveza. Tastes like a fizzy Bloody Mary.
I don't know if that's a good thing or not.
I don't know either.
Beer?
It is. They say it is.
Huh.
So,
Bloody Mary. Interesting.
What I have titled this in our tweet is that we're going to discuss my favorite vintage deck of all time. And now Ben already knows exactly where this is going.
Your favorite vintage deck of all time?
See, I think I know
what
it is, but I could be wrong.
So I picked Ben to be on this cast because he is a workshops master.
I don't know about master, but I do like the workshops.
And I picked Will because he is excellent at knowing cards that no one has ever heard of before.
Oh, this is going to be unfortunate.
So basically, we're going to discuss an old deck that used to be good, that I still try to play and have it be good, and how it works, and what we could possibly do to make it better, and how much fun it is. I'm speaking, of course, of 5-color stacks.
Oh.
All right.
So
I've seen this deck a few times, but I don't know that much about it.
So I'm going to start off with the oldest deck list I could find on the internet. This is from an article by Steve Menindian when they still carried vintage content on StarCityGames.com. I was in high school when this deck list was written. So first off, all obvious: Lotus, Crypt, Vault, 5 Moxen, a Soul Ring, 4 Workshop. That's obvious, right?
Sure.
Strip Mine, Academy, 4 Wasteland, 4 City of Brass because Mana Confluence didn't exist. 3 Gemstone Mine, reasonable. Trinisphere, 4 Smokestack, 3 Crucible of Worlds, 4 Chalice of the Void. Obviously, that's not allowed. 3 Sphere of Resistance. Oh, there's also no Thorn of Amethyst in this deck because that card also didn't exist yet.
Lorwyn, right?
Oh, yeah. Wow.
4 Tangle Wire,
God,
1 Karn Silver Golem, at the time the only Karn that existed. 1 Triskelion, 4 Welder, 4 Gorilla Shaman, 1 Sundering Titan, 1 Tinker, 1 Ancestral Recall, 3 Thirst for Knowledge. This is prior to it being unrestricted and before that restricted. And a Memory Jar and a Crop Rotation.
Wait, did you mention Trinisphere?
Yes, there is a Trinisphere in there.
Oh, I was wondering if this was pre-restriction or not.
I don't know exactly when the restriction on Trinisphere was.
I'd imagine if it wasn't restricted, there would be 4.
Yeah, that seems reasonable. So, do you have any beginning thoughts about that amazing deck list I just rattled off?
I have one thought.
What's that?
Gotta find the land. It seems like it could be obvious and include. It could be terrible. If you're running a 5-color deck with a bunch of artifacts, there is a land in Kaladesh block that's pretty much pain land, right? It's like City of Brass.
You're talking about
Industry.
Spire of Industry. Yep, that is in my current deck list.
That card seems like something you want to play.
So now I'm going to give you just a little bit more up-to-date version. Looks a lot like that. This is the most recent version of the deck list that appears on Star City Games. It is from 2012.
That's the most recent.
1 Duplicant.
Yes.
1 Phyrexian Metamorph, 1 Sundering Titan, 1 Sylvok Replica. Do you know what that card does?
It's not an elf. I guess it's technically an elf.
It is a 3-mana, 1/3 artifact creature that has green and sack, destroy target artifact or enchantment.
What?
Yeah, there's a whole cycle of those guys, like in Mirrodin. Like Goblin Replica, Nim Replica, Wizard Replica. Okay,
Isn't that pretty sweet in a 5-color workshop deck?
Yeah.
Wow. That was good enough, huh?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, I think the idea is that it's, you can cast it through your own hate. You can cast it through chalices.
Right.
It can't be misstepped. 4 Welder, 1 Bazaar of Baghdad.
Because why not?
Well, we're going to get into this, but you actually...
Welder and Bazaar is just...
Yeah.
Gross.
A Cavern, 4 City of Brass, 3 Gemstone Mine, 4 Workshop, 1 Strip Mine, 4 Wasteland, 1 Tolarian Academy, 1 Lotus, 3 Crucible, all of your Moxen, 3 Smokestack, 4 Sphere of Resistance, 4 Tangle Wire, 1 Trinisphere, 1 Ancestral Recall, 1 Ancient Grudge, 1 Crop Rotation, Vampiric Tutor, 1 Opal, Balanced Demonic Tutor, and Tinker.
Interesting, it's still running City of Brasses over Mana Confluence there.
Mana Confluence didn't exist in 2012 either.
Some
Really?
projects run both now.
It's like 2013, 2014.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I mean, this is also probably like from a random SCG side event. It's totally possible someone didn't have a standard legal card.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah. I know how vintage players are, especially, too.
So, before I go through my deck list, are there any thoughts y'all have on cards that might be added to update such a sweet deck as 5-color stacks?
He's not 5-color, but I kind of like the new Karn as a stacks piece in vintage. He's
Yeah,
just like
I think that's a pretty
Nomad.
obvious add.
He does everything you want to do. He gets you silver bullets at the sideboard or exile zone, and he nomads you people.
Yeah.
Ben, you have any thoughts?
Karn sounds super powerful. Obviously, I already mentioned Mana Confluence. Is this running Tango Wires?
Yes.
Yeah, so you really want Mana Confluence then. And, well, maybe you should want Spire of Industry in that spot instead.
So I'm going to echoing on you again. I am playing 1 Spire of Industry and 3 Mana Confluence because you don't want to have a Spire of Industry in hand with no artifacts and just not be able to cast your Welders and stuff.
How often does that happen?
I mean, there are keepable hands that don't have artifacts in them.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. Huh.
How many Tangle Wire are you playing?
How many what card?
Tangle Wire.
Tangle Wire? The decks I list were 4. I am playing 3.
Would you like the new Sahili for extra things to tap? Or just
I think that you're never
too
running
much
out of
colored
things to
mana?
tap. So
You're never... What was that last comment?
You're never running out of things to tap.
Oh. See, I'm interested in the new Sahili just because tons of this deck triggers it. I mean, what does it trigger off of? Non-creature? Is that it?
Non-creature. It's like prowess.
Let me pull it up. I have not looked at any cards from the new set because new Magic cards are stupid. The new Sahili is 1 blue-red hybrid, blue-red hybrid. Legendary Planeswalker Sahili. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create a 1/1 colorless servo artifact creature token. -2: target artifact you control becomes a copy of another target artifact or creature you control until end of turn, except it's an artifact in addition to other types. Okay, yeah, that's pretty nuts.
Yeah, that's one thing I love about that card is how it can combo with Time Vault.
Ooh.
She can make a thing a Time Vault.
I mean, it gives you 2 extra turns, right?
I mean, she makes the thing a Time Vault without the little caveat of coming in and entering by tapped.
Yeah. So are you already running Tinker?
Yeah, I think Tinker's like a must-have just because, like, with a bot, it's great. You have so many Silver Bullet artifacts. You play Sundering Titan because you're looking to be hateful, not to just, like, all of a sudden win the game.
Yeah.
You get to do the thing that I got to do the last time I played this in Austin, which is where they have, like, a sea and a trop, and you go, I'll take that forest, that island, and that swamp, and they're, wait, what? That's how that works?
Yep.
My opponent went on to Toxic Deluge for 10 the next turn.
And then lose the rest of his lands?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That was better than the other option of losing to it, though.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
I'll tell you some of the newer cards that I've added as Chromatic Lantern.
Chromatic Lantern. This one that makes all your lands tap for colored mana, right?
It's a 3-mana artifact, taps for any color, and makes all your lands tap for any color. So it makes Mana Confluence not hurt anymore. It makes Gemstone Mine not lose counters. It makes your Wastelands and your Workshops tap for colors. I think that's pretty
like a
good.
Rainbow Urborg, but it costs 3. But three's not that bad for this deck.
Well, and it taps, so it's like you could go like Workshop, Chromatic Lantern, Recall Me,
Yeah, sure, sure.
or Workshop, Chromatic Lantern, Goblin Welder.
Yeah, it seems a little cute, but like, I mean, how many are you running?
I'm only running one.
Yeah, fair enough. Because yeah, it's the upside of having multiples is pretty limited. Once you have one down, you probably don't want to draw another. So, and it's not important enough. I think one's a good limit on that.
So here's my build: is 4 stacks, 3 Tangle Wire, 4 Sphere of Resistance, 1 Trinisphere, 3 Crucible of Worlds, 4 Goblin Welder, a Recall, 2 Thirst for Knowledge, Dak Fane, Vampiric Tutor, Demonic Tutor, Tinker, Crop Rotation, Sundering Titan, Triskelion, Karn Silver Golem, Balance. Let me tell you how much fun that is to play in a Workshop deck. Ratchet Bomb, Swords to Plowshares, Chromatic Lantern, and then standard mana base, plus I am also running a Barbarian.
Okay. So I would think Karn Silver Golem is what you'd want to replace with the new Karn.
Yeah.
Since it's going to shut off all your opponent's Moxen, which is one of the upsides of the new Karn. Also, it can animate things, not as rapidly as Karn Silver Golem can.
Karn Silver Golem can just win the game. With,
he does the same thing. It also nukes 0 CMC artifacts. Like
right, but when he's on the board, there's not really much reason to do that since they're shut off anyway.
Yeah.
Unless you want to blow up a Chalice of the Void, which you probably don't want to do with that deck all that much. Although I guess you do have a lot of 1-drops, don't you?
Yeah, and that's why I'm not playing a Chalice of the Void.
Yeah. Oh, you're not playing a Chalice. Interesting.
Well, and I'm also like, I'm a little, I guess, maybe greedy on the tutors. I'm playing a Vampiric and a Crop Rotation and a Recall and 4 Goblin Welder and a Soul Ring, all of those at 1.
Yeah. So now if you want to run Karn, Chalice of the Void's a good sideboard inclusion because you could put down the Karn for 4, wish the Chalice of the Void out of the board and slam it on 0 against something like Paradoxical.
Oh my god.
And then you don't have to worry about the Chalice clogging up your main strategy.
So this is why this deck is sweet, is because you can do random shit like that. It's not as good as regular Workshops, but you can do cool stuff like that, or like crop rotationing a Mishra's Workshop into a strip mine when you have Crucible out.
Yeah.
So
how necessary? You have 3 Crucibles though.
The Crucibles, it's not just the waste strip lock, which is obviously quite good, right?
Right.
It's that's one more way to get stuff back from your graveyard and really get Smokestack going.
Okay, fair enough.
So that's one of the things I was going to get into is this deck is actually like Leyline of the Void is really good against this deck.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
3 Crucible, 4 Goblin Welder. I also there are 2 cards in here that are just like dead slots. Thirst for Knowledge.
Yep.
Also Dak, because Dak is hilarious with Goblin Welder.
Yep. That's pretty good. I'm really into Will's Saheeli idea though here. Especially with Smokestack, that's awesome. And then there's just so many little
With Tolarian Academy, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Welder
Academy, it's awesome as well. You're right.
turn things into time vaults or Sunring Titans just for fun.
What's your creature count and what's your land count?
My creature count is 4 Welder, a Sunring Titan, a Triskelion, and a Karn, so that's 7.
7.
God, I think I'm gonna play this new Saheeli.
Lands is probably what, like 17
nuts.
or so?
4, 7, and 3 is 10, and 4 is 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, plus the Moxen.
Right. Well, Moxen do trigger Saheeli, so you'd be looking at 25. So it's over half your deck now has a Young Pyromancer effect with that.
So one downside there is that the balance gets way worse.
Does it?
If you're not wiping their board, like it's in addition to being hateful with the mana bases, it's also a board wipe. And a lot of times you'll just like balance to just like you have a monk or they have a monk and 4 tokens, you just balance that away. Don't care about it.
Yeah.
I'll also point out, being 5 color, you can be exceedingly hateful in the sideboard. I'm playing 2 chokes.
That's pretty neat.
There's no shortage of dumb, hateful cards you can play. Just in green and white.
Yeah. But yeah, let's say we're going back to this Karn idea. You obviously want to run the Mycosynth Lattice in the board. That's just too.
That's just too good.
Yeah. Yep. And I like the idea of throwing the Chalice in the board as well. What else can you tutor? Do you run Voltaic keys for any reason?
No, I don't, and I'm not running Time Vault either. I do in the sideboard. I guess with Karn, I have so my sideboard is. We'll just go through it real quick. Is 2 Tormod's Crypts, a Wormcoil Engine, 2 Null Rod, 1 Jester's Cap, 4 Grafdigger's Cage, 2 Ancient Grudge, 2 Choke, and 1 Lurgoyf.
I like the Lurgoyf.
Yeah. I just with a deck like this, because you can't net deck this at all. I just frequently can't come up with a 15th sideboard card, so I run Lurgoyf in that slot for obvious reasons.
Yeah, so let's say you let's say you put some Karns in there. I like the idea of a Time Vault in the sideboard, especially if you're running some of those big artifact mana producers like are you running Sensei's Divining Top?
No, I am not. That's an interesting choice as well.
Right. So if you could run some things like Sensei's Top and you have Mana Vault and Krypton already, I don't think you run Grim Monolith, right?
No. So, and I think the thing with Top is that I guess you'd be cutting Thirst and Dak and possibly some of the tutors at that point. Like that's the reason you don't really need the library manipulation, is because so much of it goes in. You have so many things that go get things.
Right. But let's say, I mean, I'm just looking for cards that interact well with Voltaic Key. So then you can run a couple Voltaic keys in the main and get value out of them, right?
So you're saying like maybe good, like just add 2 Grim Monoliths in the main deck?
Yeah, you could. I mean, I don't know how useful Grim Monolith is to that.
I mean, they can cheat out Karn faster than, I guess, you can't workshop out Karn. It's an extra 3 mana at some point.
Yeah, because Workshop does struggle with it. It would also work with your Chromatic Lantern to give you mana. But so let's say you have enough value things to use a Voltaic key in the main pretty well. Now you sneak the Time Vault into the sideboard, so you never have to worry about that dead Time Vault draw when you don't have the key. But if you have a key out and you draw a Karn, it's just wish for key or wish for Vault and slam it.
Is putting both in the sideboard good enough? Taking 2 turns to go get the stuff?
Karn survives 2 turns, so you're like pretty good shape anyway.
Yeah, well, I guess, that's another thing. That's kind of like why run the Vault Key when I could run just Mycosynth Lattice and now you can't play the game. I'm going to find a win condition eventually.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, that's why I'm looking at it as only a 1/2. But if you're not going to run keys in the main anyway, then the value is probably not really there.
It's not like 2-card Monty where like in my build of 2-card Monty, I'm like, well, Voltaic Key's pretty good already. Might as well put in the Time Bolt.
Right. Yeah. That's kind of my theory on Karn here. If you're going to build this sideboard with it, if you have enough weird, interesting, powerful effects that might combo with something else that you wouldn't normally want to run in the main deck because how much it sucks to draw it and how dead it is, then being able to wish it out of the board leaves you kind of with only the upside, right? That's really why Mycosynth Lattice is so...
Well, that actually brings up an interesting point I hadn't considered with the Karn, is that like if I have Karn's main, I don't need as many Grafdigger's Cage in the sideboard. Or like any really 3 or more of artifact, you don't need as many in the sideboard, right?
Right. You can lower, and you probably want to lower the counts, right? So let's say you have 2 Tormod's Crypts now, right?
Right.
Maybe you make one of those into a
Interesting.
So then, depending on how the game's going along, you can wish it out, right? So you slam an early Karn, and you need that graveyard hate, and you don't need to nuke the graveyard right now, then you can wish out the relic and work at it. But if you need to get it right now, you can just wish out Crypt, and it gives you more options. Also, you could put Grafdigger's Cage as a 1-of. You were talking about that already. Wish out of the board.
Well, and that's something you're probably going to be running anyway, right? So just like maybe instead of 4 in the board, you go to like 3 in the board, and you bring 2 of them in your sideboard games.
Oh yeah. You can board some in and leave one on the board.
So you have like, let's say it's 2 Karn with 3 Cage in the sideboard. You go to 2 Karn, 2 Cage is effectively 4 Cage main board, or 4 Cage in the deck.
A little slower to come down, but yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't think you want to, if you're in that situation, basically, you don't want to have too many copies of one thing, the board, because it reduces your options when wishing with Karn, right?
Yeah, interesting.
Theoretically, have a sideboard of 15 singletons, then you have 15 different options to wish for.
Yep.
When you duplicate, reduces your options. So not that I start cutting too much Grave Hate, but that's a good reason to give a variety of Grave Hate.
Interesting. So I'm trying to think of now.
There's a bunch of different graveyard hate cards that came out in the last couple of years. There's things that let you draw cards, like the Relic, and I guess you can definitely play the black for Nihil Spellbomb.
Oh yeah.
There's that new thing in Ixalan. I think it's called Sentinel Totem. When it comes to play, you scry.
I remember Sentinel Totem.
And I think it exiles both graveyards.
And then I read it again.
If you're like super into Welder, you don't want to exile all the yards.
That's an interesting one to weld in and out, actually. You get to scry every time it comes in. I mean, there's much better things you can do.
I think it exiles both the yards, though.
No, I'm just saying, like, if you don't have anything else.
Yeah, that's
switch them. Yeah.
Just scry every turn with Welder.
Yeah, it
Just
gives
the
you
lowest value Welder of all time.
Since that's what we're playing Vintage for, to assemble a 2-card combo that lets you scry every turn.
By the way, while we're on ridiculous things that Goblin Welder can do, if your workshop opponent puts any of their XXs into their graveyard, Goblin Welder becomes tap, destroy target artifact.
Yeah, that's always fun.
And I had an opponent shoot down went Walking Ballista for 1, shoot down a Goblin Welder. I'm like, cool. Play a Goblin Welder, you just lose.
Yep. They just can't do anything. That's pretty neat. So another card, since this is just turning into what War of the Spark cards go well in there. What about Blast Zone as a land?
This set really was nuts.
I feel like we might need to be playing more green sources so that we can play more crop rotations.
Oh, man, if you're playing Blast Zone, speaking of the Spark cards, there's that new Proliferate land. Is that too cute?
I think that's too cute.
Ooh,
Yeah,
Karn's Bastion.
It's like 4 mana is the problem.
Yeah, it might be too cute because you can't.
There's probably way easier ways to proliferate than spending 4 mana for it. If you even wanted to.
Repeatedly doing it is fun, though. That lets you keep a Tanglewire going infinitely, right?
So does Goblin Welder.
Yes, you do that with Goblin Welder as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the things with this deck is it's also pretty tight. In this picture I'm sending you, there's basically a line of cards that are optional, and that's it. Because you need the stacks, you need the Tanglewires, you need the spheres. All right, how about Bolas's Citadel?
Oof.
I mean,
Yawgmoth's Bargain. That's also.
I do want to put it into every deck, and with Mishra's Workshop, it only costs 4 mana essentially.
Well, it costs black is among that 4 mana.
Yeah, but it's like
figure it out.
It seems like every colored mana source is just whatever with your 5-color bajillion rainbow lands. Or you can just weld it in or out, because why not?
Just transmute artifact for it and then weld it back in.
Yeah, or you can discard it.
Why do you have to weld it back in?
Transmute
artifact. It's probably easier than hard casting it.
So I'm saying you transmute artifact for it. You do not pay the additional, so it gets sacrificed. And then you
yeah. Okay.
Oh man, this is so much more fun than discussing real decks.
Transmute does seem sweet there, but it's just one of those. Is that really what you want in play? Half your deck costs 4.
That's also we're gonna go through multiple actions to put this in. And it's why don't we just get Sundering Titan?
Yeah,
And just blow up all their lands.
most of the time. I mean, Bolas' Citadel seems great if, the average mana cost in your deck is like 1. But your average mana cost is much higher. You also have, 18 lands. So that's about a third of your deck stops it cold. Yeah, I don't know if I like that very much.
All right, I was just throwing it out there because that's a card that we had a long discussion. Well, not a long discussion. I got asked, and then I just typed until I fell asleep about how I felt about Bolas' Citadel and 2-card Monty.
I feel good about it. But I just love dumb Necropotence select cards. Anything that lets you ad nauseum, Yawgmoth Bargain, all that kind of stuff.
2-card Monty, it seems a little more interesting because you're really a combo deck, whereas this you're trying to play control for the most part. I mean, it's a combo-y type control deck, but
it is pretty funny how frequently you just you go old school stacks style where you just lock out the game and just play draw go with them.
Right. So at that point, you don't need Bolas' Citadel, and once you're behind, it's
just cute.
Bad when you have all this high mana cost cards. Whereas 2-card Monty, you're just trying to combo out so quickly that you don't give a shit how much life you spend to churn through your entire deck to find the combo to kill them, right?
And besides that, a lot of your deck will go and find it.
Yeah, sure,
it's
sure.
You get a DAC, and then you activate DAC before you activate Bolas' Citadel again.
Yeah.
Or you play a draw 7.
Yeah.
I guess if your deck just isn't all about digging for cards, playing some ridiculous combo, there's probably better things you can do for 6 mana than just dig for more cards.
Yeah. I'm interested in this Blast Zone idea I had, though, here. It seems like because you have crop rotation, that gives you one other way it lets you instantly tutor out your Ratchet Bomb, basically. But the down...
Yeah, but Karn can also
tutor back the Ratchet Bomb.
Karn could also tutor for either a Ratchet Bomb or Engineered Explosives from your board.
Ooh, right.
Wait, does Engineered Explosives... It has Sunburst, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. But you can cast it for 0.
Yeah.
You have quite a few 5-mana producers in here. So Sunburst isn't... Or Engineered Explosives on the board. That's pretty interesting. If you're running that Karn idea.
You're not gonna make me buy a bunch of new fucking Magic cards just to play this terrible deck that I will only ever play in proxy vintage events.
Oh, I have Karns. I'll hook you up. Yeah, I guess so. If we're gonna run with this Karn idea, what do you want to cut? I think Karn Silver Golem's the obvious first cut.
Yeah.
Well, I think the 2 Thirst for Knowledges in my build, those are they draw cards and they discard, which is nice for Welder.
Yeah.
There's probably no need for either of them.
Huh. I was going to say, well, yeah, I guess the Welder targets aren't as big as, aren't as necessary. I see what you mean.
I mean, I could still see one. When I originally played this deck, Thirst was restricted, so I only played 1.
Fair enough.
Oh, I should mention, this was the second competitive Magic deck I ever built, and the first vintage deck I ever built.
Ah, cool.
0 to 100 right there.
So the other thing you could do is do something like move a Smokestack to the board and move a Crucible to the board.
Oh my god, this is just
Yeah, you can run... I mean, the temptation is just to put all your really hateful cards, have at least 1 copy in the sideboard just to tutor with cards.
You're just going to basically not have a sideboard.
Your sideboard
Yeah,
is...
you got a wish board, man.
Copies 3+ of cards you're just playing main deck.
Right, so let's discuss my biggest concern with playing Karn in this deck, which is that it cannot be cast off Workshop.
That is true.
How, if at all, does the mana base change? And honestly, I'm thinking it's just add a Mana Vault and that's it.
Oh, you don't have Mana Vault. I didn't even notice
all the Moxes, Soul Rating, Mana Crypt.
And maybe an Opal. Opal is also quite good in this deck.
Oh, I mean, especially 5-color.
Yeah, Opal seems fine. Well, I guess you don't have that many. You have the Moxen and not all that many more low-cost artifacts. Maybe that's where you want to run your Grim Monolith and Key package as well. We're really just turning this deck into a into a
2-card money, Karn.
And kind of just a
Electric
Karn.
Blue.
yeah, we're almost at the point where you start cutting the colors and just run colorless, and
I like Saheeli though.
All right, how about this as a replacement for Thirst for Knowledge? What other card interacts with artifacts and draws cards?
Oh god, Paradoxical Outcome.
oh geez.
Jesus Christ.
Paradoxical Outcome, just for one, Bouncing Sundering Titan.
Oh, that's fun.
Or like resetting a Tangle Wire.
Yeah.
Stealing someone's artifact with a deck and bouncing with the Tangle Paradoxical Outcome.
Yeah, I think that's a little too cute.
Yeah. Oh, bouncing all your servos. That's a Healy made for
It's
draw
on
20
token.
cards. Ah, shit.
Yeah. I thought of that too. I was like, oh my god, I can just bounce all these mentor tokens. And then you realize you can't.
Well, apparently Saheeli is 88 cents.
Yeah, it's uncommon.
So I feel like there's a chance that during the Austin invasion, I'm going to be playing 5-color Saheeli stacks.
Nah, go hard. Anime Girl Saheeli.
What? Is that a thing?
Yeah. Oh, all the new War of the Spark Planeswalkers have a alternate art anime version.
Well, not on TCG Player, they don't.
Okay.
Oh, they're just the Japanese ones that do.
Yeah. It's only the weeaboo versions.
Hey, whoa. Let's not use the W word here, okay?
Oh god, they look terrible.
I've got another interaction to point out. Triskelion over Walking Ballista. Because Goblin Molder.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Actually has counters
Yeah, well, they
without
didn't have-
casting it.
Yeah. And Wormcoil Engine out of the board has a pretty sweet effect there too.
Yeah, I've had some people miss that where it'll be like, I had someone like multiple block Wormcoil Engine dies. I'm like, weld out a ruby, bring back my Wormcoil Engine. And they're just like, oh no.
Yeah.
Mer Battlesphere?
I don't know.
Makes it bunch.
Mir Battlesphere is really far down my list of favorite giant robots.
Yeah.
So here's a question for you. How do I play against workshops? Because currently I have so many cards in my sideboard for workshops that I cannot bring them all in.
You're talking with your current list, how would you board against workshops?
You got
Yeah, or how would I change the deck to be better against workshops?
I don't know. Like you just have don't have 15 cards to board out.
Well, and it's like it's just there's a lot of stuff that's good. Like the Swords Mane is good, the Ratchet Bomb is good, the Balance is good when I'm in the right position.
Yeah. Hercule's Recall?
Ooh. Oh, I'd been considering Biforce because I make a lot of mana.
You do. Yep. Yep. Well,
Oh,
I'd workshop mana on that though.
not Shattering Spree. The shit, it's the EDH one that's just a blowout. What's the mechanic? That Overload
Overload.
is an
What is
artifact destruction spell. Destroys all artifacts you don't control if you overload it.
Yeah, that's got to cost $1 million though, right?
It's like 5 altogether.
That's a lot.
That's a lot against shops. Yeah. I don't think that's the way to do it. Energy Flux is.
That might Energy Flux might hurt you too much though. Vandal Blast is the card.
Now here's one that, let's say we go to the Karn version. How about Kill Switch in the board?
All right, hold on. We're gonna Google again. MTG Kill Switch. Kill Switch, which obviously I'm going to be reading, is a 3-mana artifact. 2 untap. Tap all other artifacts they don't untap during their controller's untap steps for as long as Kill Tap remains untapped or remains tapped.
Right.
So
if you shut down all their activated abilities of artifacts with Karn, you wish for Kill Switch, now you can just tap all their creatures every attack step. I don't think they have a way out. Except to revoke Kill Switch. That's it.
Man, I love how hateful this deck can be.
I really like this wishboard thing.
Yeah, now
Yeah.
I'm like, I wish I had done some more research so I would have a new deck list ready for us to like tune further.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that will be the homework I have to do while this is processing.
Yeah, I got to give Stu credit for the kill switch idea. He mentioned that to me with the Mycosynth Lattice thing in Legacy, but so popped in my head here for Vintage.
If I'm running the new Karn, can I still run the new Saheeli?
Karn makes the servo.
Or should I still run the new Saheeli?
Karn does make a servo.
On curve.
We're getting really conflicted about the mana base here, though, if you run both. So let's say you want to get to Karn. Karn can't be cast off Workshop, so you want to be adding things like Mana Vault and, Grim Monolith's Keys, something like that helps you ramp more colorless mana. But
I think
has
that also depends on how heavily we go into Karn. If I go into Karn as a 4 of, then yeah, I want those things. If I do it as like a 2 or 3 of, not as much.
Yeah, but like that's kind of one of those, because you're splitting how direction the mana base wants to go. If you try and run both, I'm worried you're just going to end up with 2 uncastable cards in your hand.
I am, as a 5-color player, quite familiar with that feeling.
Yeah, I figured you would be.
Like, Saheeli's super easy to cast in blue and red, just because of the hybrid mana. But it doesn't help you when all your lands just shock you.
How many? He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That Barbarian Ring coming through for you. 10, 11.
Yeah,
Well,
Saheeli.
So I think
13 cards that can make that mana. So I guess that's almost a quarter of your deck. You need 2.
Part of the reason for Barbarian Ring, besides being a win condition that has no casting cost once you have goddamn, how can I Crucible out? It's also just one more land that casts Goblin Welder.
Yeah, sure.
I could see changing that to an Urborg, which would definitely make casting Karn easier.
Right. But it would make casting Saheeli much harder.
Right.
Not
I
much.
think that would make
red source for something that doesn't help Saheeli.
I don't think it turns things off of red. It just helps you not hurt yourself as much for those things.
But does making that an Urborg really help Karn that much? It makes your Workshops tap for 1.
Yeah.
So there's 4 cards in your deck that are slightly improved by changing that. It'll
does
come
Gemstone
up,
Mine
sure,
tap for black afterward?
Oh, right, you can, yeah.
Mana Confluence doesn't hurt you as much.
Yeah.
So it's
I'd
10
be
cards.
more interested in a Chromatic Lantern at that point. Since if you have a Workshop out, so your mana's clunky, then you can cast a Chromatic Lantern that ramps you 1 and also...
It also makes all your other things cast, like Crop Rotation or Tinker, or things that Urborg doesn't help with. Also helps you cast Saheeli.
Yeah.
I think Chromatic Lantern seems better. Can you tutor for it?
Yeah, Karn is kind of high mana cost for your current mana base. Just because of that Workshop's conflict. I mean, I guess you could go to Ancient Tombs. Now you're getting...
Now you're really
stretching your color requirements, yeah. We're just going to turn this deck into colorless stacks? Is that the decision?
No. Then you're just playing shops, and what's the fun in that?
Yeah. Two hours later, and we have a Ravager shops list. Yeah.
So after this episode, we'll be building Grixis Silver.
Oh, the worst.
Yeah, it's interesting. I also like that Transmute Artifact idea. Extra Tinkers. Problem is that you can't use Workshop mana again on Transmute.
Yeah, so the only card in my current deck that has more than 1 colorless in its mana cost is the 1 of Dak Faden.
Yeah.
And that is red, which is one of the 2 colors that I have dedicated lands for, and blue, which is the other one off Tolarian Academy.
Right. So red, blue is slightly easier than red, blue. But I don't know if it's much easier. It's more the number of, since most of your lands tap for.
You could tap it. You can
Anything
tap it
anyway,
all
yeah.
with itself with Age Lion Academy. So that's
Right.
not nothing.
By the way, I really
What's
want to
the
stream
cost
this
right there
deck, but gemstone lines are $25.
Oh. Did time
Yeah, I
travel
guess-
print? I guess that really wouldn't affect it.
Yeah, it's
Or
almost
time shifted.
exactly as hard as Dak to cast in this deck. The only way I see you being able to cast Saheeli but not Dak is if you have Mox Ruby and Barbarian Ring. And then you have red, red. Any other combination that would allow you to cast Saheeli, except Black Lotus and
Black Lotus doesn't.
lets you cast,
sack the Dak.
Saheeli, and doesn't let you cast Dak. Yeah.
Fuck.
So it's not that much harder than Dak. So I guess the question is, how hard is Dak to cast?
Get better Black Lotus.
Which is hard for me to give you any qualitative answer because with
Right.
it being a one of, it's something usually my mana base is pretty well developed by the time I have it, or if I'm keeping it with a hand that can cast it.
Right, right. Huh.
I will say that's just one more thing. Like sometimes the reactions you get out of this deck are so great because you'll be like, Dak, discard a smokestack, and be like, oh dang, like you can't cast smokestack, and you just weld it back, and they're just like, oh no.
Yeah.
Really, half the fun of this deck, besides not letting your opponent play Magic, is watching them discover that they can't play Magic. I had
stacks in at the end of your turn.
at the last Austin event, I had a guy, and it was like turn 2, I wiped his board to a Mox Jet, and that was the only spell, or the only non-land permanent that was ever in play on his side for the rest of the game.
Yep.
You bring up a good point, Will, with the welders. If you have multiple Tanger wires and multiple smokestacks, you can exchange them such that you never take the brunt of that.
Are we just building 5-color welder now?
That's
Gunpowder is so good.
the deck that I've been discussing this entire time, Will.
No, we called it. Nah. Could you just change
Yeah.
the name?
Yeah, it's
Fair enough.
pretty. Yeah, so let's say we do this.
Falcon Welder MVP.
Let's say we do something like subtract a smokestack, subtract a crucible, lose Karn, lose one of your thirst for knowledges. You lose Ratchet Bomb. That's
Because put it in the board.
So that's 5. So that's 4 Karns and a Mana Vault. Done?
Yeah.
4 Karns and a Mana Vault. We'd have to shave a little bit more because I'd want to add
Can we put that
Rim
Ratchet
Monolith
Bomb
and a
back in
key as well.
Ooh. Time vault.
And then you stash the Time Vault in your board.
Thank you.
Stash the smokestack and a crucible in the board. Yeah, we're getting it's real tight on space, right?
Well, this is, all my 5-color workshop decks. Kip looked at one yesterday and goes like, oh my god, how do you fit so many things into that deck?
It is the curse of ever trying to make a 5-color EDH deck is you just want to play all the spells, even if they're not on theme.
But you get to play every single dual land.
Yeah.
Okay, this is starting to sound nuts. But at that point, do maybe you like shave a workshop for an ancient tomb?
Oh, that sounds... is this cutting a workshop for an ancient tomb and also playing Grim Monolith?
Yeah.
Ooh, that sounds really rough. Because I'm going to have Mana Vault, Mana Crypt, 3 Confluence, Barb Ring all doing damage to me.
Yeah. You get beat up here.
And I'm using the hell out of those Mana Confluences.
Ancient Tomb will kill you, I feel like.
Yeah, but that's if we're running Karn, then we have to get him down, right?
I think the Mana Vault, man. Maybe another Chromatic Lantern?
I don't think Chromatic Lantern really gets you to where you need to be. Maybe you just run a couple extra Grim Monoliths, and that helps you get there. Because a Grim Monolith off of a workshop, and then any single piece of artifact mana gets you to Karn.
Yeah.
It's also sweet once you do get the Chromatic Lantern down to like you can sink the workshop mana into untapping the Grim Monolith.
No, you can't.
If it can tap for any
You
color.
know, if you have the lantern out, workshop can tap for
Sorry.
it.
Yeah. I was thinking.
Yeah, that's one more thing that I really like about Chromatic Lantern in all of the 5-color workshop decks, all of them, 2-card money and 5-color stacks.
Yeah.
Is that it gives you a way to sink away the workshop mana into something.
Yep.
Well, awesome.
Do
So
we have a list?
I'm gonna go type up a list. Any other
Okay.
thoughts on how sweet 5-color stacks is?
It is pretty cool. It looks
Just
like one of those
building
decks
the
that has
side-
answers for everything, and it's super flexible and has game against every deck in the format, but just loses to itself a lot.
Yep. Oh, I also want to point out you are legally required. If you listen to this podcast, you are required. I will come and hunt you down if you don't. You are required to play a Jester's Cap in the sideboard.
Oh,
Hey, with Karn making that a wish option,
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Well,
that's
and like
actually super relevant.
it is Jester's Cap might be better than Grafdigger's Cage against Oath. How many Oath decks play more than 3 win conditions?
I think they usually do now, don't they?
I don't know, but I played again.
Wait,
the last time
3?
I
Does
played-
Cap get 3 or 2 cards?
It gets
3.
3.
Oh,
When
yeah.
you take Emrakul, Gristlebrand, some people played new Nimbus at Parlon now. I've seen.
So again, the last time we
3
played
is
in
pretty
Austin,
common.
I popped my cap. I was super excited about it. The dude had 4 Sphinx of the Steel Winds, an Emrakul, and a Grizzlebrand. And I was like, okay, like it's not my fault.
Yeah.
Like this deck is crazy. It's not my fault I lost to it. I also did it to Brian DeMars in round 1 of Vintage Champs. I cap him and I go through the deck like 3 times and he's got Salvagers. And like after like the 3rd time I go through it, he just flashes. He has the Spell Bomb in his hand. He knew exactly what I was looking for.
Yeah.
And then he beat me with Jason Mind Sculptor.
Aw,
Not see that coming.
cool.
Like lots of things in this deck.
Well, I
Yeah.
figured that, in the like 15 turns it took Jace to do something, I would find literally any
Any
one.
answer.
Yeah. So yeah, so if we're doing this Karn thing, I think another one you want in your board is Ensnaring Bridge. You want to be able to protect the Karn.
How am I
especially if
winning once Ensnaring Bridge is out?
you just keep plussing Karn and wishing for more win cons.
Okay, fair enough.
Most of them, yeah.
Or I guess, I can also just be like Triskelion -3, welded out, welded in, Triskelion -3.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Oh, you every turn. That's it.
Or just keep welding Sundering Titan until they have no.
Or I guess weld out, if once you get 2 welders, weld out Ensnaring Bridge, attack, weld it back in.
Yeah, you can do
Yep.
that. Yeah, that's sweet.
Yeah, that's another,
Same
you
thing.
can weld out
Another one of these smokestack triggers
Yeah.
is just.
Welding
you,
out
don't
a
have, you don't have
Trinister?
to play with it. Only they have to.
Yeah. Yeah, Smokestack will get you there eventually at that point, right? Especially if you have a Crucible in your board you can wish for and throw down.
you still have to, them not being able to win is not a win condition.
Right.
It is if you have more cards in
Right,
your library.
if you get a nice Smokestack lock, then you can just wait until you have 3 cards in hand plus Karn and beat them down with the Insane.
All right. Well, I think we
Being
did it.
somebody down with an Ensnaring Bridge just got added to
You could always
my
beat
magic
them to death.
bucket list.
There's always the good old beat them to death with goblin welders. That just happened.
Oh yeah, that's like that. I was playing that deck in Legacy, a Metalworker stacks deck, where the only win con was Metalworker, and I had several times where I locked them out and had a Metalworker, and like, well, I want to see what your real win con is. I'm like, okay, I start beating them down with Metalworker, and they're like,
One
you're
little robot.
gonna
at
go
a
through all
time.
this? Didn't want to tell them. Yeah, that's my real win con.
He swings for 1.
He does swing for 1.
little about
Awesome.
that good.
Well, thanks for helping me figure out how to rebuild this deck, because next month we have the Austin Invasion, which that's not what they're calling it, but that's what I'm calling it.
Sure.
So
We
the
have to
Austin
defend.
guys will be running a tournament here in Houston, and we have to defend our fair city. And unfortunately, I think they would be opposed to the idea of us doing it our normal way by just flooding the streets so they can't get here.
That is the Houston way.
I was thinking it's Saturday, Friday beforehand, Brash meet up for practice.
Yeah, that should work.
And I mean,
Yeah.
practice both drinking and playing cards, because if we can't beat
Yeah.
them on the table, we can at least beat them at the bar.
Though we may want to not practice too hard drinking if we want to beat them Saturday at drinking.
Look, you won't be hungover if you're still drunk.
So
Yeah.
it's what, June 8th?
Yes, it's June 8th. I would do something the weekend before, but I will be out of town.
Okay. Yeah, we can work on something that week. So
Cool.
Sounds like a plan.
Thanks for hanging out, guys.
yeah,
Thanks for the invite. That was fun.